Okay, folks, let's do a quick check-in for all of our friends and families working with the Divine Feminine right now in particular. So healing the Divine Feminine, healing your Yin energy. I think we live in a world that really, for many people, can kind of like take you out of your receiving energy, your receptive energy. We live in a doing culture. I know this is something I've personally worked on and am working on. So I'm feeling like this is coming through. Ooh, the traumatized. So our divine feminine aspects. So anybody working to heal your divine feminine, your yin energy, and we're getting that there is a collective, there is a group whose feminine energies have been severely traumatized. I acknowledge that I have been traumatized, but also that I am healing. So this is about acceptance. This is about seeing yourself exactly where you are. For me as well. This is the first time I use this deck a lot. This is the first time I've pulled this card. So let's see. I'll pull the book and we'll read it towards the end. We're going to keep this out. That's number 44 as well. Or okay, we'll read the book first. Okay. Traumatized, 44. And this, interestingly enough, the traumatized comes after the sovereign. So that is what we picked yesterday. So again, I acknowledge that I've been traumatized, but also that I am healing. So, we can acknowledge, like, okay, we can't spiritual bypass, right? So we could say, okay, my feminine aspect is traumatized by today's culture. And like know that not only are you healing, not only do you have to, you're more than your pain or your injury or your trauma. And I think for so many of us, the wounded healer archetype, it's in that trauma, it's in that imbalance that we find the greatest healing for ourselves and for the collective we're connected to. The traumatized has been knocked to the ground by a totally unexpected and undeserved bolt from the blue. Rain and lightning continue to fill the sky, turning this battlefield to mud, making walking on it difficult, if not impossible. The traumatized shoes have been sucked down into the mud, his shoeless state symbolic of his lack of protection from natural forces. It is also a reminder that when we wear shoes, the world is covered in shoe leather, just as the beliefs and prejudices we take with us on our journeys can influence and possibly even cover over the reality of what we are seeing. So I think it's like groupthink. If the people you're surrounded by believe a certain thing about what it means to be a person, or what it means to be successful, and we internalize that, sometimes we don't see that we're hurting ourselves. We don't see that the behaviors that we're engaging in are actually not helping us. Okay, I'm gonna skip over to, you know what, we'll read this together and we'll do an affirmation card. Okay. It seems that nothing could have been done to prevent this from occurring. It is a miracle that this wounded person is still breathing and, with help, may be able to heal from this damaging event. So what I want to say here is sometimes kind of a natural response to realizing that you're hurt or that you're traumatized is to blame. So you could blame people, you might blame society, you might blame, different structures that we operate against. But ultimately, you may blame yourself as well. But I'm at the bottom of it, when you really sit with that blame and notice, ooh, I'm blaming again, and really sit with it and really like find the threads of like, ooh, I blame this person. Well, why? Oh, well, then why did they do that? And you find that the threads are long, and that there's no one to blame, and that the real gift, the real healing, is in forgiveness. And this is, I'm wearing pre-night. It's my healer's healer. So, again, so this is that wounded healer archetype, noticing the wound, healing the wound, and part of healing the wound is acceptance. Bizarrely, both the Cupid hovering above and the traumatized are smiling. The fighting spirit, symbolized by the armor and the weapons of war in the border, have been knocked out of the traumatized, and post-traumatic stress has replaced it. This is not a disorder, it is perfectly normal. The customarily proud warrior has to accept that human beings are not superheroes, but highly evolved and adapted animals who can only take so much before they need to withdraw, acknowledge what has happened without allowing it to become an obsession, and take the necessary time to heal. A wounded animal goes back to its lair to rest, and if possible, allow its wounds to heal. I'm just realizing I forgot my mic again, but yeah. So for anyone who has experienced trauma and gone through the motions and kind of find themselves with unusual behavior, like unusual for them behavior, so this could be isolating, this could be substance use, again, to go into that place of acceptance, I'm hurt and I need to heal. And to give ourselves the time needed to fully heal, especially when we're talking about healing the feminine aspect. I think for me personally, like I've had the experience of like, ooh, my feminine is wounded, so the masculine side really like overcompensated for it, and it just exacerbated the wound. So now, I have a wound that's healing, and I have this imbalance that's happening, and trying to bring it back to center. And I think what's interesting, part of the divine feminine wound is, the ability to receive, the ability to be receptive, the ability to, sit in the void and be comfortable there. I think in our society we're very, the kids have the function, and we got to go to work, and we got to do this, and we got to do that, and that kind of like capitalism, the grind, right, has been, what's the word I'm looking for? The grind has been romanticized in our culture. It's in our music. So to come to that space of like, just like when you're sick, right? When you're sick, especially now, right, after COVID, like nobody's going to work when they're sick. I'm going to stay home and rest, because I know if I rest for 3 days, I'll come back full force. But if I don't, I'm going to be working with like a low-grade cold for 2 weeks. So, prioritizing rest. Rest is resistance. Rest is, rest is its own form of protest in a culture and a society that glorifies working ourselves to the bone. So the heart of the matter. To get well, we must know we are sick, especially in the case of trauma. A major problem is that the experiences that most affect us are all too often buried in our consciousness, or, if acknowledged, are minimized in their ability to affect us now. No one wants to admit that they are not able to live up to the level of stoicism and strength that has been portrayed in the idealized literature and dramatizations of the past. Human beings were most likely no better able to deal with traumas in the past than we are today. They probably became just as affected as anyone today experiencing similar experiences, but suffered in silence. Their trauma influenced behavior, accepted as just who they were. Things were much harder, and people did not expect anywhere near the level of joy, comfort, and leisure time that is now held up for envious scrutiny every day and in every way technologically possible. The violence of the pace of everyday life in the 21st century and the daily tsunami of information, most of it meant to frighten and control us, would have been enough to traumatize anyone born 100 years ago or more. So it's like there's that whole idea with anxiety, for example, right? Anxiety is that like on edge, nervous feeling we feel. And there was a time where humans, the only thing that made us feel anxious was a tiger or a snake in the woods, right? But now our tigers are our bosses at work, our tigers are the morning commute, the tigers are a conversation that we've been putting off. Our tigers are rest. You know, for me personally, something that I came across this summer is, my guidance was just rest. And I panicked. Full on complete panic. But the point being, before I put this away, we'll look at this again. The traumatized. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Tower card. So, and the Tower being anything that's taking us out of that Yin energy. There are other things I wanted to say, and I got excited based on this last piece here. But rest for all the folks working with the divine feminine archetype and healing their divine feminine and their Yin energy. I'm even like leaning this way. Yes, the violence of the pace of everyday life in the 21st century and the daily tsunami of information. What I wanted to say about this is I feel like, in a way, we live in the greatest age yet. Because, even if a lot of us who are visionary, who could kind of see like this idealistic utopian future, the new age, where things like rest are prioritized and everybody gets what they need, we don't live there yet. I'm sure there are communities where that is real and happening every day. And the more those communities are real and happening every day, the more it ripples out. But just the fact that like I could go on Instagram right now and get more mental health advice if you're following the right channels than I even know what to do with, and even that could be overwhelming. We have to be careful not to pathologize their personalities, but to really be real with ourselves and find, what mental health, physical health, emotional health, and energetic health challenges that we're dealing with. And sure enough, there are plenty of people out in the world of the internet who have a plethora of information. There's so much information about the nervous system. There's so much information about, different somatic practices. And that's unprecedented. That I can hop online and access that, and I didn't have to just so happen to be born in an area where those things are incorporated into their daily lives and conversations. We're going on 15 minutes now. We're going to pull an Enchanted Blossoms empowerment card. There are a few. Isis wants to speak, and so does Quantum. And we're talking about the card decks. The card decks are pointing at me, and then he's like, no. So we'll do a longer video today. I have a little bit of time. These cards are really tricky to shuffle. Okay. So anyone working with or healing their divine feminine aspects, their yin energy, what's an empowerment card we could use for them? Patience. Patience. So the patience, having patience with ourselves, having patience with others. The white Monte Cassino and the yellow pansy. Okay, so this is the butterfly and the flower. So the white Monte Cassino is the butterfly, and the yellow pansy is we're still aspiration. I don't know what aspiration means. To aspire. Okay. Because yeah, they're still they're pulling. They're like warm. And spirituality and truth. Beautiful. So for patience, we see patience. With white petals surrounding a bright yellow center, this flower was named after the Greek goddess Astraea, the last of the gods to live amongst humans. Astraea was pure, innocent, and the goddess of virgins. As humans became corrupted and moved out of the golden age, she left their hands and became the constellation Virgo. Hey! Alright. And I don't take credit for this. It's not, as long as I've been doing this, I am forever, like, enamored with spirit and how things all come together. Okay. It was said that the aster flowers sprung up from the soil where she wept. Asters were often used by the Greeks and Romans in religious ceremonies and woven into wreaths to be placed on altars. White aster grows wild in much of North America and throughout Mexico, where it was used in magic and medicine such as antiseptics. This card is urging you to stop. Take a deep breath and maintain a sense of calm as you wait, no matter what it is you are waiting for. Aim for a peaceful composure within yourself. Change is a big deal, and the evolution of the self is a challenging and long journey that will not happen overnight. A flower does not spring up fully formed from the seeds, but in the end, the beauty is worth the wait. Enjoy the process and try not to rush the ending. Everything comes in its own time, so just keep working on yourself, and eventually, with patience, you will blossom into what you were meant to be. So this is asking of us, where can I practice patience? So that's a word on the divine feminine archetype. What also came out was aspiration, spirituality, and truth. So I think this is definitely a word on healing our divine feminine aspects again, and our yin energy. So that energy of patience, of to recognize your aspirations, feed them, water those seeds, but in such a way that you're not pushing or forcing too much, that it's truly pleasurable for you. And then to lean into your spirituality and lean into your truth, especially so in that moment of healing, being in that yin energy, like what we took from the traumatized card, having the patience to heal, having the patience to sit with what hurts, patience with ourselves, patience with others. Continue watering your blossoms, but know you are worthy of whatever you aspire to. But the most important thing you could do is stop and take a break and be in your feminine energy, be in your receptive energy, sit with your truth, lean into your spiritual practices, and heal. Alright, that's the word. Have a great day, guys.